gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for May 2nd, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, some Take-Two studios made games that everyone liked, so the publisher is shutting them down, and the hype is building around Xbox's remaining 2024 release schedule. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jordan Midler, everybody. Jordan, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me on this illustrious day, a day celebrated around the world. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The world's greatest video game website, VGC, is now 5.
Congratulations.
5
I did see
old.
that happen. That is amazing. Well done. That's longer than I realized. I mean, you guys still feel like the new kids, you know, in so many ways. But 5 years ago is 2019. Okay, I guess that feels like a half second ago when I say it like that. But but hey, congratulations either way.
Well, I mean, there was VGC started in 2019, but I didn't join until 2022. So that's when the site really got going, you know. It's like WCW, people say it kicked off back in the Ric Flair days, but until the New World Organization, brother, it wasn't really the thing.
Right. Of course. Yes. That's I was about to say the exact same thing. So I'm glad you just said it for me. Okay, before we got started, you mentioned something about libeling Lucy James. I bet everything you're about to say is going to be accurate and truthful, so shout it.
Well, this is broadcast in the United States of America where there are no laws.
That's right.
Lucy James is not as big a Lord of the Rings fan as she claims. She's not even seen like 2 of the films. What else? She claims that she's a Geordie, but she's actually from she's actually a Mackem. She's not a Geordie.
Oh,
that will
shit.
Mean nothing to most people. But,
holy crap! Can't believe you said that.
Also, she met the Queen, so there really is no. She met the Queen, and then just like 25 years later, she died. Follow the money. Think about it.
Yep. Post hoc ergo propter. She's guilty. I think is what the Latin phrase is.
Put that on Twitter. Your mad Sony Twitter accounts. Lucy James killed the Queen. Okay.
All right, I've captured that. There we go. Well,
thank you.
We've done some good work here already today.
This is what she gets because we send TikToks back and forth. We don't really talk to each other. We just send TikToks back and forth. She forgets when she's sitting with her 50 cats at 7:00 at night, San Francisco time. I'm sleeping because I've got to get up on the grind tomorrow. On
you got a job.
Time.
Yeah,
I know.
It's
anyway.
That Pacific time is so early. It's like 3 hours before me, let alone like however far into the future you are. It's like so like I'm like, oh man, I'm getting ready for bed. It's kind of late. I'm like, no, it's like 7 p.m. They're like, they just got done thinking about work. I could send them a message. It's weird.
Oh mate, it's ridiculous. Like I used to play a lot of EAFC with Blessing from Kind of Funny. Shout out, one of the most beautiful boys in this game.
Good boy.
However, I would say to him, "Do you want to get a game in tonight?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, let's get a game after work." For him, after work is like 3 a.m. for me, so I'm like falling asleep, waiting for this man to come on EAFC so I can take him to school.
And it's like, you know, they don't think about other time zones. That they don't matter to them out there. They're too cool for us. It's
the woke left.
The woke left of the United States, the most woke left time zone. All right, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Take-Two reportedly shuts down Roll7 and Intercept Games. Private division suffers layoffs. This is from James Batchelor at gamesindustry.biz. More details have emerged about the ongoing layoffs at Take-Two Interactive, with reports suggesting the publisher has shut down 2 indie-sized studios. Bloomberg reported it has seen internal documentation that reveals UK developer Roll7, known for the Ali Ali series and Roller Drome, is planned for closure, with the publisher working on severance agreements for affected staff. The documents also detail plans to close Intercept Games, the Seattle-based studio behind Kerbal Space Program 2. Yesterday, GamesIndustry.biz reported on a warn notice filed with Washington State, revealing that a Take-Two-owned Seattle office will close this June and affecting 70 employees. Bloomberg noted this is approximately the same number of staff who work at Intercept Games. Both studios are part of Private Division, Take-Two's label for publishing indie games, or indie-level games. The label formed Intercept Games in 2020 after taking over development of Kerbal Space Program 2 and acquired Roll7 in 2021. Bloomberg reported other Private Division staff have been affected by the layoffs, with a source telling GamesIndustry.biz that the vast majority of the label's teams in Seattle, New York, Las Vegas, and Munich have been let go. This is I think the big thing here, Jordan, is this stinks, especially when you look at a team like Roll7. These are games, Ollie Ollie World and Rollerdrome, that people really like. They are high quality games, award winning games, and because the numbers didn't make sense, they're just gonna cut their losses and cut that team off, and that is an absolute shame. Kerbal Space Program 2 is a little bit more man, that game had a rough start. It was a whole other team trying to get that going. That I could see the complications there, and yet it's so many. A game like that would eventually probably find a way to succeed by just brute forcing through early access. That's kind of the story we've seen over and over again. But doesn't seem like Take-Two has an appetite for that sort of thing anymore, and that's scary and it stinks. What do you think?
These stories always make you sad, but this one made me quite viscerally angry because there obviously you can explain it in businessmen terms, but specifically when it is a conglomerate that within the next 2 years is going to launch the biggest selling piece of media in the history of the human race.
And earlier this year said there was no planned layoffs.
That was just pure lies, especially how long this stuff takes to get into to get moving. That's like a 6-month process. But the idea that this company can't just take the hit for a year when they are going to make more money than God on GTA 6 and are sitting on so much stuff that they could still be making money on, like GTA 5 Online, still pumping out content for that. I get emails every week saying there's new missions, there's new skins, there's new cars, all of this stuff. Especially with games like Rollerdrome and Ollie Ollie World, these are studios that won BAFTAs. They got 9 out of 10 on IGN. If that's not good enough to survive, what are we even doing? What's the point anymore? Is it just the biggest games ever, or games made by one person that sell 10 quintillion copies? It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it makes me question the whole project in the first place. What was the point of Private Division if you did not understand the kinds of games you were getting involved with? These are games that will get attention with certain crowds and probably will sell pretty well. I bet all of these games sold all right, if not better than all right. But you're right, they didn't reach that next level. But it's well, then what? Why do you have a Private Division in the fucking first place? That's the whole idea. Is we will have a bunch of different games, and maybe every once in a while one of those will explode and succeed. But of course we can't count on that because we are human beings and have eyeballs and a working brain and can see what the indie game landscape is like and how rare that is. So by choosing to get into this business, we are acknowledging that we understand the factors that we're working with, and then we get a few years later and here we are, and it feels like no, they didn't understand it ever and they didn't care, and here we are, more people's lives getting affected because of some dalliance from a company that makes more money than God. As you said, it is very frustrating. And I think I was always skeptical of Private Division from the beginning. What are they doing here? It does seem weird. Are they trying to take these studios and guss them up and put them out there and make them bigger? It's hard to tell because that's not really going to work. We know these games sort of don't have a process to be okay, we as the publisher have selected this is the game that's going to be the next big thing. It is a much more natural selection process of the gamers just waking up one day and deciding this game's going to be a breakout hit, and you can't really control that. So why try to build a company around the idea of thinking you can control that? It's annoying at the very least. Do you think Private Division is something that is going to kind of slowly phase out? Because it feels like that's what's happening right now. What do you think the story is next here?
I think so. I think it's Private Division to me always spoke to where larger Take-Two kind of was, where their massive games aren't coming out all the time anymore because it's just not physically possible. you get these small games that keep getting them BAFTAs, that keep getting them high scores. It's almost like a kind of prestige imprint on like a Universal
Yeah.
Studios or something like that. Like it's a small, it's your art house label that's
Right.
actually part of the Walt Disney Company. So for that kind of stuff to not even make sense to keep around, it must be a really chilling shot across that size of game across the industry. Because if you're not feeding yourself off that and you're relying on a huge corporation, even the best critical acclaim, even the word of mouth that stuff like Ollie Ollie and Roller Drone got, like, it's just a really dark reactionary period to such a boom.
Yeah, I think what you're right, and what you just said there is, I think, the key, that it's a reactionary period to a boom time. And I think the thing that scares me is that I think the exception was the boom time. I think we're going back to what it's normally like, where it is very difficult to pick a winner in this hit-driven business. And the only reason things like Private Division were working at all, and so many of these things were happening at all, is because capital was so cheap. Interest rates were near zero. In some places, they were negative. They were paying you to take money, and it is going to drive a lot of risk taking. And then as soon as interest rates go up to a point where they are, historically pretty, like, this is where they should be, it goes back to like being like, man, no, it's really hard to get investment. It's really hard to get anyone to pay for these games because they're not sure which one's going to be a hit, and they're scared. And it's like, I remember hearing that all the time when I was early in this industry and going to places, going to like gaming conventions in like Singapore and talking to developers from around the world. And like, yeah, everyone's like knows this is a hit driven business, and everyone's afraid to invest in particular projects. We'll invest in technology. We'll invest in Unity back then. But investing in any specific game is a real tough sell. And I think we're back there, and it feels like that boom time was this dream that happened because of low interest rates. And the idea that we're going to return to that is, I think, laughable at this point. And we're probably not. So is this an industry that can like thrive under these conditions? Does everyone just have to readjust? What do you think?
I think it will be a big readjustment period. Obviously the pandemic era was unprecedented and hopefully not likely to return. So the idea that we started forming expectations based on that is peak capitalism. Is this once in a lifetime event. That's the new normal. The thing that really concerns me is, in an era maybe a year or two ago, and I was on this very show when we used to talk about it, when developers used to leave places, there was so much VC that people could just spring up studios. And have we gone a week where we've not heard about, this ex BioWare, picking a random name, this ex BioWare person's studio that hasn't made a game, they're done. Like, it's all collapsing back in on itself. And I think that for teams the size of kind of Row 7, that kind of area, it might just be a case of, and it's a really sad reality, all of that talent, all of that kind of chemistry and teamwork just gets dissipated across the industry, and they lose something great, especially on the kind of cadence of games that they were on. There's probably like a pretty close to done or playable game that's just gone now.
Yep. It's I think you're going to see everyone scrambling. Yeah. And like if the ones that don't shut down are probably going to be because like, hey, Embark Studios making a Game of Thrones game. It's like, oh, okay. You know why that happens. They were making the finals. They're making Arc Raiders. Those will probably still come out. But how do you secure that next round of funding? You go tell an investor you've got Game of Thrones, something it recognizes, and that makes it a lot easier. I think it's going to be that sort of thing. And not every one of these studios is going to have the upfront capital to make those licensing agreements in the first place. And then they're also not going to have enough people to like make those games make sense. Like Embark does. 250 people, 300 people. It's a huge studio for a studio that just got off the ground. But all those studios that spun out of Respawn over the last couple of years after everyone's stock vested and they were able to like take their money and go. There's a lot of studios that burst out of that. I'm like, I wonder how they're feeling about all this. I'm sure they like are starting small. Not everyone's going to be like Embark and immediately hire up 200 people, but a lot of them are hiring up pretty fast, and that is going to make it challenging. But we'll see. In this moment, it feels like 2K is putting everything on Grand Theft Auto 6, and I suppose if you had to make one big bet on anything, it's the safest bet there is, right? But even that's not a guarantee. If that thing comes out and like in some way spoils Grand Theft Auto Online, that gravy train could get derailed. I don't think it's derailed permanently, but it gets derailed, and that's a huge hit, right? And there's risks involved still.
Yeah, I think, as you say, it is an incredibly easy bet to make. You also remember they literally just picked up Gearbox for all the Borderlands stuff. Like, they're betting on the big Take-Two ass games. They're betting on their sports. They're betting on GTA. And the thing about these business people is, because GTA is a thing that is a year away or 2 years away, they only ever think in like a year at a time. Like, it doesn't matter that this is coming. They can't foresee the fact that this is going to be like an earth-shaking kind of moment. And I still think people are underrating how big GTA 6 is going to be. Like, it is going to be
earth-shattering.
Kind of an unprecedented moment in games, because GTA 5 was already that without the 10 years that have kind of succeeded it. So gaming every year gets bigger in terms of the number of people playing, the number of people paying attention, the platforms for these things to explode on. Like, TikTok for like 6 months after GTA 6 comes out is going to be a nonstop parade of, this is what I did in GTA 6 and here's what you can do in GTA 6. It's going to be bigger than ever. Yeah, it's going to, I think it will break GTA's record. Like, GTA, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it took 18 hours to be like the best selling entertainment product of all time. I think GTA 6 will do that within like 3 hours. See, as soon as it's out on consoles downloadable, think about the difference between when GTA 5 launched and now. The second that game is out, what percentage of people do you estimate are just going to download it and not wait to go to a shop? Like, it's going to be unbelievable.
Right. And let's see, someone in Paradas in chat says, wait, I thought Gen Z didn't care about games. And I think it's like, well, let me ask you, I think even Gen Z is going to go crazy for Grand Theft Auto. They probably already are, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to capture them, right? I think there's some nuance there, but I'll let you go first.
Gen Z, GTA doesn't count. GTA isn't like a video game. It is like a moment. It's an event. It's the same way that if Gen Z doesn't care about games, but they all play EA, specifically in the UK, they all play EA FC. They all play Fortnite. They don't think about Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, they're not thinking about games like that, but GTA is much, much, much bigger. Plus, it will be the only thing that every corner of media is talking about. If you're Gen Z and you're not playing GTA 6, like, you will be the outcast. Like, it's going to be, I cannot wait to cover it. I think it's going to be extremely exciting to cover. Like, it's going to be a war. It's going to be old school, but it's a terrifying prospect.
Oh yeah, it's going to take over our lives, and we'll see our families maybe again one day after it. I think for the Gen Z thing, it's like, they definitely care about games. I think what the sort of current conversation is, how much do they care about consoles and specific ecosystems on those consoles? I think the argument like Matt Piscatello makes is like, Gen Z has grown up in a world where they mostly expect things to come to them. They have a couple of devices they use, but primarily they use their smartphones. And if you're not on their smartphone, for most Gen Z people, you just don't exist, and they just don't think about you. But I think a lot of people are like, and then they go play games on PC. They understand Minecraft started on PC or whatever. Some of them do that. But Grand Theft Auto is the kind of thing where they will pay attention, and that can succeed. They just don't necessarily care that if it's like something happening on exclusively on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox. That's the kind of thing that they are super ignoring. Grand Theft Auto 5 is not in that bucket at all.
Yeah, and also they're already playing GTA 5 and watching GTA 5 mod videos, and have
GTA
been for
roleplay.
Their entire adolescence has been GTA 5. They have not been conscious during a GTA launch. Like, I see people in the chat being like, "Oh, they play Roblox." This is GTA is different. It is different. Like, this is going to be every single, whatever month, say it's 2025, say it's September, because the last one launched in September, every single studio will give them like a month either side and just be like, don't even fucking bother.
Yep, don't even bother.
Not only is no one going to play it, no one is going to cover any game that someone could, like, Phil Spencer could walk down Fifth Avenue and kill someone and no one would cover it during GTA 6 launch week. Like,
and he probably will. I think it's the big thing.
It's going to be me.
Yeah, listen, that'll be a public execution. That doesn't count as murder. It is okay. You really messed me up when you were like they weren't conscious. I'm like, yeah, it's a fun thing to say. It's like, no, you're right. It's like if they were like 5 or 6 when GTA 5 came out, and they weren't like really like recognizing things, because you don't at 5 or 6, like you can't even form full thoughts at that point. They would be what, 16, 17, 15 to 17 at this point. That is bananas. So yeah, their entire life has been GTA 5 and GTA Online. That stuff is dominated. So yeah, it's going to be massive. And in the meantime, I think the industry is just kind of trying to coast on previous energy and like they're conserving energy. They're like pulling themselves in, and we're not taking any chances, any risks, lay a bunch of people off. We don't care. We are going to go in hibernation mode until GTA 6 is here. And I don't think it's just Take-Two, even though Take-Two's are the ones that stand to make actual money from it. It seems like everyone's just like, maybe that'll get people excited about video games again. Let's just kind of, survive till 25, I guess. And it's, this year's going to end up feeling like, hey, there were some great games, but overall this industry still felt like a real bummer, and it's controlled by a bunch of clowns who don't really understand what they're doing, which I think is probably accurate. All right. Moving on here. Xbox's game lineup is jam-packed for the second half of 2024. Talked a little bit about this yesterday. I kind of wanted to see if we can have a full all-encompassing conversation about it, but George Yang from GameSpot writes, Xbox has several games coming out in 2024, particularly in the latter half. We might already know the release windows for those games too, as Microsoft is likely going to reveal them at its showcase on June 9th. According to The Verge, Starfield's Shattered Space expansion is set for launch in September. Bethesda's Todd Howard has already confirmed that its release window is sometime this fall. Following the showcase, Microsoft is also airing a mystery event, which is reportedly a Call of Duty Direct detailing the latest entry, the greatest mystery of all time. The next installment is reportedly due for a late October release. And then Avowed and Microsoft Flight Simulator are in 2024, or are in late 2024, probably around November. And then Indiana Jones and The Great Circle is in December, according to the report. And then there's several games unaccounted for in terms of when their dates might happen. There's Everwild, which never
Wild.
Neverwild is correct. Jesus, Clockwork Revolution, South of Midnight, and State of Decay 3, as well as Fable and Perfect Dark, and then that Gears of War game could get mentioned. That's not coming out in 2024 though. Probably most of those games are. How are you feeling about Xbox's lineup going through the end of this year, and then? Do you think that the showcase could have some surprises even beyond what we're talking about? And then how do you feel about their long-term lineup?
I am very positive on Xbox this year. I'm tearing off my PlayStation shirt, and I've got I bleed Xbox green,
there it
baby.
Is. You heard it here first, everybody.
Yeah, I think it's a good confluence of Sony having fuck all and Xbox having a really good mix of stuff. It's not all aiming at one audience. You've got your Flight Sims, your Avowed, your Indiana Jones. That's all different stuff. I don't think this will be a year where none of those games strike me as people going, this is Xbox's The Last of Us. It comes out and gets 95 Metacritic. But if all of those get 80 to 85 and folk on Game Pass are just feasting, then I think it could be great. I think that the actual showcase in summer will be kind of weird and confused and mixed messagey, and I feel like the vibe coming out of that might not be great, because I feel like that's always the case regardless of how good they do it. People just get really in their feelings about it, plus following it up with an hour of Call of Duty is really going to piss people off. So I think even if that's not great, I feel like people just have to be just play the games. They are coming now. Hellblade's in a couple of weeks. We're on the train. As far as surprises, I think they would be stupid to fall back onto what they used to do and be like, here's a logo for something in 5 years' time. However, it is enough of an open secret now that I think if you close the Xbox thing on the Gear, people will be excited.
I expect them to do more with Gears of War than just that. I think they'll have more to show than just that, but that doesn't necessarily mean the gameplay trailer, right? That's the thing that we would really want in the perfect world. Give me the gameplay trailer. They probably do some CG asset, but I think they are full steam ahead with Gears of War, and they are. It's once this thing is out there at this show, they're not going to suddenly go disappear for a very long time about it. They're going to keep talking about it, so they'll have a lot to say, if not right at the game at the show, quickly after, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was last year that I spoke to someone who was on the verge. He was on the verge of taking a job specifically to work on this Gears of War project in a narrative sense. That never happened, but that was kind of where they were at then. So definitely, also I feel like if you have enough stuff that is new, you earn this game isn't out for 3 years. the problem is when you do like an old school Sony, it's like here's fucking logos for stuff that aren't even Excel spreadsheets at this point.
Microsoft can't do that anymore right now, at least not in this moment, right? They have so many, like with that list of games and that's not even everything. But if you have stuff like Perfect Dark and Fable that you announced for like, going on 4 or 5 years ago, and you haven't released them, and you really haven't even talked about them all that much in any real way since then. Obviously, they've appeared here and there in very small snippets, but you haven't really talked about them. You got to deal with those first. You can announce a Gears. Yeah. We get it. It's Gears, but you can't have five logos.
Don't fucking show anything to do with Fallout. Just don't,
right?
Because there's no way. Like, just do not do that.
Well, I mean, if it's like a Fallout 3 remastered, and that's like, hey, we're making that, and that's going to be out next year, sure. But you're right. If it's like anything short of that, just shut the fuck up.
If it's not instantly clear that it's Fallout 3 as well, it has to be a shot-for-shot recreation of that first trailer coming out the bus. Like everyone, I don't want to set the world on fire, and everyone's like, okay, it's Fallout 3. Like people, but we need to see more Fable. That game was in a lot of trouble for a long time, but they seem to have turned it around. That's a car joke. They've 3 Point turned it. And I'm excited to see that. Yeah, they ran out of road tires. Anyway, Perfect Dark, we know jack shit about that. Perfect Dark, to me, before I saw the splash screen of the secret direct and saw that it says Activision on it, I was like, a big direct feels like something they would do if they had like big balls out Perfect Dark energy. So maybe that's like the big thing next year. But yeah, they've got stuff they need to clear off the counter. They've got Outer Worlds 2, State of Decay 3, which was announced and then apparently shoved in a bin for like 5 years. But yeah, it's a big ass year. The world is watching because Sony ain't doing shit. So,
well, I mean,
deliver, Phil.
Sony's probably doing something this month. They're probably having something.
Perfect. Can we set this up just so it's a clean Twitter clip for you?
PlayStation is very likely doing something this month. I think it's probably a showcase, actually. So you're allowed to get excited, but I don't know for sure about the showcase or state of play, but something this month. And I'm starting to hear rumors about what's in there, and I'm getting excited, although I can't confirm any of that, so I won't say anything. But hey, if they come out with, okay, so, what did they tell us? What did Sony tell us in their last earnings call? That they wouldn't have any big, what they consider to be blockbuster AAA. I can't remember what the term was that they used, but like franchise follow-ups in this calendar or this fiscal year. So that's through March 2025. Okay. What do you think they meant? Like, what are their big games they're talking about that they're not going to have sequels to? Do you think that includes like legacy franchises we haven't seen in a long time? I mean, because I maybe, but I don't know.
No, I think specifically they were thinking very myopically about the stuff that is currently in their like splash screen at the start.
Yes,
we're not going to have Spider-Man 3. We're not going to have The Last of Us 3. We're not going to have Horizon
Ghost of Tsushima is not this year.
Yeah.
I think so too. So I mean, everything else is kind of on the table. Like that Astro game I keep hearing about could still come out later this year. Like they're not thinking of that as a AAA follow-up.
Yeah, and what's also just because they said follow-ups doesn't mean there's been projects at Sony for a long ass time that we're waiting to see. Former God of War guy doing some cool things.
Hey, Blue Point's making an original IP.
They are.
Okay, so we have plenty to be excited about, I think, from Sony. I am setting expectations to like a reasonable level for what Sony's going to do, not sky high. I think that's fair. Because it's hard to like have one of these shows without having all those like splash screen games show up at the moment and have like everyone walking away happy. But if we get a couple of surprises and like these original games look good, and then the live service stuff, whatever, we'll have to play those things. They're going to be free to play anyhow, so we'll just play them and decide our opinion at that point. Whatever. It's got to be hard to sell a friggin' free to play game these days, because it's such a thing where it's like, all right, whatever, I'll just try it. I don't care. Everything you're telling me is just like going in one ear and out the other. I don't care. So,
yeah,
but that's the business they're in. And then I don't know. So I'm like setting my expectations to a reasonable level for whatever PlayStation does. But I think by the end of this year, it's not going to feel like a lost year or anything in terms of games released. I think we're going to feel pretty good about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the game of the century, Balatro, came out this year, so how can you complain?
It's a good game.
But yeah, I think by the time we get to the end of the year, I think we will not have a great picture of what Sony has just released. Like this year, I think will feel quite quiet for Sony. You might get one or two things.
Correct.
I think at the end of the year, we'll be sitting here going, Microsoft didn't blow the doors off, but they did it. They're getting games out. There's lots of games that people are playing. There will be anger when the Microsoft stuff doesn't get in like Game of the Year list.
Right.
Always is.
You should be aiming for a strong 86. If you get an 86, that's
just get games out.
Throw a party.
Just get fucking games out at this point. Like,
yes.
But yeah, I think we're in for an interesting rumble, and then next year, brother, Switch 2 and GTA 5.
It's gonna be a meat grinder next year. Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna get like right back into it. All right.
You better get your games out this year, because next year you ain't getting fucking shit between the Switch 2 and
Balatro 2 when that comes out. Shit. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, there's a new Arkham game. Get excited, everybody. We'll talk about it right after this. All right, we are back, and as promised, Batman Arkham Shadow was announced, coming exclusively to Meta Quest 3. This is from Darren Bontheus at GameSpot. Almost a decade has passed since Rocksteady Studios wrapped up its Dark Knight trilogy and Batman Arkham Knight. An incredibly depressing sentence to say. But at long last, a new game set in that universe has been revealed for Meta Quest 3. The Caped Crusader will be swinging back into action in a new virtual reality game developed by Republic and Iron Man VR studio Camouflage, which, good studio. The studio says that it is aiming to capture the feel of the Arkham series, and a full reveal will be shown in the months to come. You can get a glimpse of the direction that the studio is going in with the cinematic trailer that they released. It looks like that last Batman one, but like more Arkham than even that one did. This, our buddy Barrett Courtney over at Kinda Funny is the biggest Arkham fan I know, and they sat him down to watch this thing, and he just came out of it kind of like, Charlie Brown and kicking the ground and being like, this is a disgrace. And it does feel a little bit like, man, this is the kind of thing you do when you are riding high and you have lots of Arkham stuff, and so the distraction is like, oh my god, I love spending time in this universe. Here's one more way to do that. The thing that comes out 10 years after the last one, and there hasn't been any other Arkham game since, and the only other thing related to that is Suicide Squad, that is depressing on its own for many reasons. This feels like, I get it. It's hard to time the market and all this stuff and figure out how people are going to feel about it, but boy, this feels like it stinks. I don't know. What do you think?
So when I got the press release for this a couple of days ago, I said in the Slack, I was like, oh my god, I just got a press release for the new Arkham game. It's in VR, which is unfair because, as you say, Iron Man VR, good game, good developers.
Camouflage is good developers.
Why use the Arkham name? Like, you're setting yourself up for exactly this conversation. Also, all three of the PSVR 2 owners must be fucking gutted about this. Like, this being a Meta exclusive, like.
That's a good point to talk about real quick, though. This in a world where PSVR 2 was like a going concern for Sony, this 1 million% would be exclusive to PSVR 2 instead, right? I think this says everything we need to know about the future of PSVR 2, and that future is it doesn't have one. I mean, is there any room for another interpretation there? I don't know. What do you think?
No, like. They phoned Sony and asked if they could have any PSVR 2 dev kits, and they're like, we can't find them. So no,
that guy's not here today. He'll call you back.
Jim Ryan. We've talked about it a million times. That was tech Sony telling Game Sony what to do, and yet the feeling Game Sony was like, fucking get out of our lives. We're not interested. I don't know if you covered it yesterday, but the director of Call of the Mountain got laid off. Like, and that is a great VR game. It's the best thing on PSVR 2 if you don't count stuff that was already on other stuff. I think this will probably be pretty cool. The Meta Quest 3 is a great headset.
I love the Meta Quest 3. I do.
I modded it so we could get like the secret Beat Saber shop where it has all the custom tracks, and it's fantastic. Like, it's the best VR headset I've ever used, but this is why use the Arkham name? Like, they must have known.
Yeah, I mean, they know it's a calculated thing. They're like, some fans are going to be upset, but the Arkham name has got a recognition to it. We're just going to use it, whatever. I mean, it feels like it's also an admission that Arkham was there to be used because no one else was using it, right? It's not like this is the thing where it's like, hey, well, I mean, you can't do that. It might interfere with our Arkham game and what we're doing with that universe. It's like, no one is actually making a new Arkham game at this moment. So yeah, I think this is the kind of thing that'll come out. It'll probably be fine. Most people will ignore it. Like, I mean, I gotta kind of feel like doing a poll for how many people played that Iron Man VR game, a game that I was like somewhat interested in and never did. Yes, there you go.
I played it. You did this thing a lot.
Ooh, look at man. Okay, whoa, you look just like Tony Stark when you do that.
Thank you. I've often thought that. Why are people moaning about a new Arkham game when Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League is right there? Like, come on,
yeah, you're right.
2024's most underrated banger.
Oh, boy.
Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League.
I think that game's fine.
I like that game.
It's fine. Yeah,
I like that game.
it's got good shooting. I thought the humor was actually not that bad. Shout out to the Sweet Baby Inc. for all their bark that they wrote in there, all the barks they wrote in there. They did a good job, actually.
Thanks, Alyssa. You really made that banger. That was good stuff.
That's good stuff. All right, moving along here. Fallout 4 mods that remove next gen update are surging in popularity. This is from Stephen T. Wright at GameSpot. I just want to say, nature is healing. Bethesda games still broke no matter what they do. An update is so terrible, people want to get rid of it. Hell yeah, Bethesda's back, baby. Bethesda dropped Fallout 4's next-gen update earlier in April, and it's fair to say that it's garnered a mixed reception from players, mostly thanks to technical issues and mod compatibility problems. Now, PC mods that remove the next-gen update are surging in popularity on Nexus mods. These mods, which include the Fallout 4 Downgrader and Steam Skip Next Gen Update, have roughly 60,000 downloads as of this writing, and they've each been out for less than a week. That's a lot of downloads in a week for a mod. That probably makes it one of the most downloaded mods at the moment for sure. Yeah, well, hey, why is Bethesda always like this?
Oh, I don't know. People give them a pass for 40 years for shit like this. Not on this website though, brother. Famously, this comes from the same family of games that have popular mods which let you skip the first hour of the game because they're boring as fuck, and mods that let you change the ending of the game because they're bad endings. Like, Fallout is a series that the hardest of hardcore fans love to tinker until it is good, you know, and I include myself in that. Like,
same.
But yeah, I dicked around with this. I dicked around with the update, and I was like, "Oh man, still fucking Fallout 4 in it." That's a real shame. Following the Amazon series, I agree, but I've played it to death. I've had enough of it.
Okay, at that point, I can see it. It's not one that stands up the way Skyrim does over like 10 years. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm much rather going back to Fallout 3. I think the mood is better. I think it's dingier, it's creepier. But following the show, I was like, I just want to be plopped into the Fallout world and fuck about. I don't care about my son or my dad or whoever it is I'm looking for in a minute. Let me just live. Let me just like. Well, that's
one of the better mods. Like, is like just like be a random person in the world. Just start as a random person in the world. That was cool. When we had Mike play Fallout 4 with mods, that was the one I was like, okay, I like that a lot. And you're like, the beginnings, I think they are boring, but they're especially terrible when you played them once already at minimum. And if you played it like 2 or 3 times, it's terrible. Like, so just being able to like go through a door and be like, I want to be one of those dudes in the world that has a baseball bat and pretends they're on the Boston, the Red Sox, and they're out there beating people with baseball bats. I'm like, okay, we'll just start as one of those guys. That's pretty cool.
When are we going to get a Nick Valentine adventure game where you're a detective?
Nick Valentine dating sim is probably going to happen, almost certainly. In fact, Jordan Miller just guaranteed it, everybody. You heard him. There it is.
Dick Valentine confirmed on the Jeff Grubb Power Hour, which I'm now rebranding this show. Lucy's giving me a lot of power over Giant Bomb, just kind of on text, and so is Tam. So
do what you got to do.
For you, brother.
All right, Daddy. Whatever you say. All right. Moving on. David Buster's bets that you want to bet on arcade games. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. The stakes will be raised at Dave & Buster's in the coming months as the National Arcade Chain will allow customers 18 and older to gamble on games. That means you could bet money against a friend or a loved one on skee-ball or ping pong, let alone any arcade game available at your local location. CNBC reports Dave & Buster's is teaming up with Lucra, a self-described technology provider of gamification services, for this new gambling initiative. Wagering will be possible within Dave & Buster's app for loyalty members. This new partnership gives our loyalty members real-time, unrivaled gaming experiences and reinforces our commitment to continuing to elevate our customer experience through innovative, cutting, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a shit? I want to do this. I feel an itch, and I want to do this real bad. I want to go there. I want to take Jan Ochoa. I want to find the asteroids machine and just lose a couple of hours and several $100 to that man.
Mate, I fucking love gambling. See, when we're all together in LA, like, we need to find something to just like put some money on. Like, if it's just like,
I watch a YouTube channel that streams from LA. It's a poker house. There's a poker house in LA that streams live. We should just go there.
I could walk to a Dave & Buster's right now.
Let's go.
Like 2 minutes.
Oh, let's go. Yeah,
this is going to be terrible.
Scope it out, see which games, and we'll each get $100 of Jeff Bakalar's money, and there we go.
Hell yeah!
Only if it's
finally getting paid for my apperances on this website.
That's right. Yes, you still have to win it. You still have to win it. Come on,
you got to win, Daddy. You got to win.
That's right. Okay, this idea is it feels a little desperate, and yeah, I can't help but be like, yeah, sure, why not? This is the world we live in now. Let's go for it. How do you read this?
It's fucking dangerous. See, especially because I've been to Dave & Buster's once when I was in America. I was in New York with my pal, and I ordered a vodka Coke, and they just went, "Here is a full bottle of vodka and like a kind of the essence of Coke, a suggestion of Coke," and we were pissed so quickly. So if we could gamble, like in the UK, they try to separate like a bookmakers, which is where you gamble in the UK, from pubs. However, in the internet age, that doesn't really work because you have a few cans, you open Paddy Power on your phone, and you make a bet. But if I was in Dave & Buster's and my mate was like, "Shall we play a game of ping pong for $100?" and I was wrecked, I'd go, "Absolutely, 100%. Let's do this right now."
Finally, some real ping pong. Let's go. Yeah, it's that. And it's like, yeah, of course you could just do that with like raw cash, but something about doing it through the Dave & Buster's app, I'm like, no, this is good, clean fun. This is what this is all on the up and up.
No court in the land will convict me when I glass this guy because he's taken like 15,000 Dave & Buster's bucks off me.
Yeah, right. How do you get the money out of the Dave & Buster's app? Is that real? Like, is there like a little cage I gotta go to and like, here's my points. Give me $10. It's gonna be weird.
It's like in Japan how you can't get paid for pachinko, but you can go next door and pay for your groceries with pachinko balls.
Yes, exactly. Got to go to the cage and get all the like the stuffed animals and the old Bluetooth speakers that they got in there. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
All right. Starfield is getting a dune buggy, teases Bethesda. This is from Zach Swisen at Kotaku. Good news for Starfield players who have wanted a faster and better way to travel across the game's hundreds of planets. Bethesda is planning to add a drivable dune buggy to its massive open-world sci-fi RPG. On May 1st, Bethesda announced that its next big update for Starfield, this new patch, which is out now on PC via the game's Steam beta branch, adds a lot of features that players have wanted since launch, including a 60 frames per second option on Xbox and improved maps while exploring planets. However, while the update is big and seems really well done, it doesn't add any land vehicles to the RPG, something fans have wanted since before the game launched. But Bethesda teased in a video about the new update that sometime in the future, you'll be able to drive a dune buggy across Starfield's various planets. Okay, that's the news. Really what I want to talk about, though, Jordan, is how big is your appetite to return to Starfield? Like on a like 0 to 5, 0 being no world in which you go back to Starfield, 5, you're like, oh, I can't wait to get right back into it tomorrow. How are you feeling about returning to that game?
Currently, 0, with the caveat that I reviewed that game and I guided that game. I have seen me some Starfield.
Yes, you played a lot of Starfield.
I don't have bad feelings towards it. I really liked that game.
I enjoyed it too.
I will go back in like 5 or 6 years, maybe not that long, but you know, it's too fresh for me. It feels like in my recent captures on my PC, I can still see like
it's not below the fold yet. Okay,
yeah. Also, when I saw this in the lineup, I thought you meant like Dune, like the film buggy, and it's especially bad
they're
because
creating new versions of bugs, but that's oh my god.
Because I wrote our version of this story for VGC, and I was like, They didn't mention a crossover with Dune. I'm such a stupid. It's like 5 o'clock here, folks.
Well,
I'm a stupid old man.
What do you guys call it? You guys, is it not called a dune buggy? Or is it like, how would you describe that vehicle? A rover?
We would probably call it a dune buggy specifically because we were first. It's a very kind of American thing to us, but the first time I ever saw one was maybe San Andreas or Vice City, and I think it's called a dune buggy in that. So we got it from that. But we do not have like dunes that need buggied, you know. We're not a very sandy nation. So
we call them dune buggies, and then we drive them through the suburbs while drinking open beers and setting off fireworks. It's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
we do that. We're more golf carts. We're a golfing nation.
Sure, we got those too. But yes, I get that. Yes, you very golfing nation. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think this update is like, it's, in some ways it's a little bit embarrassing because it's like we have a map now in the town, and it's like, oh, you should have maybe had that at launch, brother.
They have to do this one though, right? They have to have this update that it's the embarrassing one, so they can get to the stuff that's like might get people back, and that does include something like a dune buggy for me, where I'm like, how fun is it? Like, what's it feel like? And I'm like, I'll have some questions. I'm probably not going to come back to that game, but it's like it is like No Man's Sky, where it's like, if you keep updating this and they're like 3-4 updates later, it's like, oh man, there's all that stuff to check out now. Okay, maybe it's time to go back. I'm at like a 1 on that scale, where it's like, there is a world in which I return to Starfield, but at this moment, seeing this update, hearing these promises, I'm like, okay, it's nice that you're promising these things, and nice that some of these things are in there. 1, does it really change the way the game feels? I'll need to hear that, and then 2, like, how good is something like a dune buggy? Just, is it actually fun to drive, or is it actually annoying in whole new experiencing or new ways that I haven't experienced before? So
yeah,
we'll see.
I wanted to pick your brain. Like, obviously Fallout 4 got 2 bits of like story DLC. Fallout 3 got like 5. Starfield has 1 announced. How long do you think they keep people on Starfield in like a content first kind of way? And how long did they just go, we've got to get this fucking Elder Scrolls game going? Like, where do you think it lands?
I think that they probably get through this first DLC, and if things don't like turn around for Starfield in terms of like the growth of daily active players compared to some other Bethesda games, I think they just let it slide naturally away from that point, where it's like, it's not like pulling the rug out. It's not going to be everyone get the hell out of here. It's going to be like just regular update, smaller. And then we start hearing a lot about Elder Scrolls at that point. Like, that picks up naturally from that point. So Elder Scrolls 6 is still years and years and years away. But boy, they probably want to get to a world, many people, where they at that studio where they're just thinking about Elder Scrolls instead of trying to rescue Starfield. So yeah, I think that's the way it goes. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they'll leave a Wetworks team on it to like get it kind of to where they want it to be. I think we get, as you say, 1 big content expansion, which is kind of the norm now. Like, you got the 1 big Cyberpunk one. Your Shadow, they said today, Shadow of the Erdtree is the only Elden Ring expansion. It's kind of the way of things, and I don't think that's terrible. Like, I didn't obviously I didn't pay for it because I'm like a scummy games journalist.
Right. You're an elitist.
Yeah. If I were to pay for that game, I wouldn't feel like I was getting done by them leaving after 1 like decent sized expansion. So, and I think they are counting down the days until they can get on a stage in June and show a real first trailer for Elder Scrolls 6. Yep. That absolute comedy they showed like 45 years ago.
I was a young man.
Yeah. Me too, brother.
Impossible to imagine, but I was. All right, last couple of stories. Helldivers 2 already ranks 7th in lifetime US dollar sales for Sony published games. We talked about this one a little bit yesterday. There was a few more details. This story comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. To reiterate, he writes, Helldivers 2 ranks 7th in lifetime US dollar sales for Sony published video games after just 2 months of availability. That's according to research firm Circana, which published its US games industry sales report for March on Wednesday. Helldivers 2, which topped February's sales chart and placed at number 2 on March's, is the best-selling premium game of the year so far based on dollar sales. Now, Matt chose this moment to like make a wider point about how important the PC is to PlayStation by pointing out that without the PC sales, this game wouldn't be in the top 20 for the highest grossing Sony published games yet. It would, like, with only the PlayStation 5 sales, it's like somewhere from 20 to 30 in terms of where it ranks all time for Sony published games. That, of course, led to people being like, so what, PS5? Didn't no one bought it on PS5? And he had to correct me. He's like, that's not what I said. It's like still top 20 video game from PlayStation ever on just the PlayStation is an incredible achievement for this game, especially one that costs like $40. So it's already a discounted game. But he clarified, he said that the PS5 version and the PC version, those versions alone, on their own, separate them, are both the best-selling game of the year. If you just had the PS5 version, it would be the number one best-selling game of the year. If you just had the PC version, that would be the best-selling game of the year so far. Put them together, they're dominating 2024. So I think two things. Of course, games can still sell on PS5, but it's selling so well on PC that they can't ignore it. That was Matt's point, and I don't think PlayStation's going to be ignoring it. They've already said they're not, but they're going to be ignoring it even less in the future, right?
Oh yeah, this is all the evidence they need. I think I said it on here, but I still maintain that obviously they've said live service stuff will come to everything. I still think they'll keep prestige stuff to PlayStation 5. Shorter window, but they'll still do it because they still have a reason to just have a prestige game on the console for like a Christmas period, and then it comes out in February.
February, right? A couple of months, 3 months. Like,
when absolutely no one cares, like you put it out there. I get a gut feeling that firstly, I kind of think that Sony will buy Arrowhead after this, and I also think that within a year we hear about this being on Xbox. Like, it just makes sense. It's also a big moment for Sony to just be like, it's like a dick measuring contest. It's like, well, you put 4 of your games on us, we'll give you Helldivers. We'll give you the biggest thing in the world.
And Helldivers 2 will be the most played Xbox game immediately when that happens. Like it, I know there's like people like, Xbox is the hardware sales are tanking. Why would they put Helldivers 2 on there? Helldivers 2 is the most Xbox ass game PlayStation has ever released. And that audience would eat that game up, and they would spend a lot of money on it. It's a smaller audience overall, but they do spend a lot of money on games still, and those kinds of games in particular, and it would do very well. But yeah, I think that's like the other thing that came out of this MPD story that I'm still thinking about, Circana, is that hardware sales were down for everybody. 30% down year over year for every single one of these consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox. So yeah, Xbox was like, that's like 2 years in a row where Xbox has done that, and it's done that globally. 30% down. That's really bad. That the sales are cratering. But it's not like Sony's like has nonstop growth for its console sales. It's also trending down, which is probably why they are full steam ahead with PS5 Pro. So they could sell another console to someone who would already own a PS5, because that's the audience that exists for them. That's where they're at. So the growth has to come from somewhere. PC and maybe a little bit of Xbox sprinkled in there for a game like Helldivers 2. That does sound like the future.
Especially if Sony were to purchase Arrowhead, they get a lot of they achieve a lot of goals. They instantly have a successful live service, which is something they are pouring infinite money into, and canceling live services left and right. And also, if they were to own Arrowhead, then put it on Xbox, it's like, well, we're protected because we have them. If they were to put it on Xbox before they owned Arrowhead, Big Daddy Phil could just go, excuse me, Satya Nadella, can I have 50 billion pounds to buy this biggest developer in the world? It's a bit territorial, but yeah, I think the console sales thing, the Xbox console sales story is terrible, but I think Microsoft have kind of accepted that at this point.
Yeah,
like
they're moving on.
They are pivoting. There's no way back. Like, niche hardware for their hardest of hardcore consumers,
which means an expensive next-gen console that is very powerful, the thing that they keep suggesting, that's happening. That's got to be what they're doing.
Yeah, but like, are you even going to be able to get it in stores? Or is it going to just be like on the mic? Is it going to be like a Steam? Can you buy a Steam Deck in a shop?
No, you can't buy. You can't buy a Steam Deck in a shop yet. But I think they would. I think they'd still be at retailers, probably.
Yeah.
So not every single one. Select retailers. Yeah.
Depends how much money they want to charge for it. Like, there is a subset of the Xbox hardcores that would spend like $600-700 on like a mega Xbox, and if the one that's already out also plays everything just a bit worse, then fine. But yeah, the Sony sales story is not great either. The
PS5 is sold very well. I think it's the growth.
Yeah.
The growth trajectory is what is a little bit troublesome. Obviously, the hardware is down 30% year over year. That's not great. I don't think that always feels like a blip. Feels like something that's going to bounce back as soon as people get excited about the next thing, or once PS5 Pro's here. They have a solution already. It's just, where does the growth come from? There's fewer people buying these games, period, or people are spending less overall. So something's happening there, and they don't have a clear path for growth.
Yeah, I don't think that when the PlayStation 5 is finished and we start looking, how did it rank next to PS4 and stuff like that, it won't look out of place. It might not hit PS4, PS2 numbers, but I think it'll be in the area. I just think it will take a different path than all previous generations, because no generation is alike. This always happens. It's always something that gets thrown in there. I think we talked about it earlier. I think Sony, my prediction is that Sony gives Rockstar a shitload of money for no exclusive content. Just let us put GTA 6 branding on our consoles in shops. That's it. Nothing else. No online shit, no DLC. Just do that. And then people that don't have a PS5 walk into a shop and go, oh, is that GTA 6 out? Oh, you can play it on that. It comes with GTA 6. Right, I'll get that. And then it'll go, woo.
Yep. 100%. Yep.
They do the same thing with EAFC every year.
Oh, yeah.
Is on the PlayStations. Like,
yep. And I think it's a strategy. I mean, it worked with them for Harry Potter. Like, everyone just associated that game with Harry Potter, and it sold a ton of PS5s. That is a strategy they are going to return to frequently over the next couple of years as it becomes more difficult for them to get their games out in a timely manner. There was that Jess Corden's out there with that report about niche hardware, and the next Xbox will come out and you'll be able to sideload Steam onto it, things like that. It's like, yeah, that sounds about right for the future of that hardware. All right. New Fortnite crossover Star Wars event has been revealed. Tom Ivan at VGC. Epic has announced a new Fortnite and Star Wars crossover event on May 3rd with version 29.40. Galactic Adventures comes to a different part of the Fortnite universe. Lego Fortnite, Battle Royale, Fortnite Festival, and Rocket Racing, it said. There's something for every Star Wars fan in this vast crossover. Head to Lego Fortnite to unlock Star Wars builds and decor, or fight off enemies with a Wookiee bowcaster by your side in Battle Royale. Rock out in Mos Eisley Cantina-inspired area at the Festival Jam stage, and unlock a Pod Racer and Darth Maul decal in Rocket Racing. It's yeah, I'm going to be playing this stuff. I think that's what we're doing for UPF tomorrow. So seems like a good time. Go ahead.
Can I use this moment as a soapbox, please?
Please. I can't stop.
Give me a fucking mic. So I have one of these things now.
Oh, okay. Look at that. One of the guitars.
The Riff Master, whatever it's called. The PDP Riff Master.
No, that's you. You're the Riff Master now. Or Riff Master, excuse me.
Thank you. You go, that's how you play guitar. Anyway, it is quote unquote usable in Fortnite Festival. Is it? Fuck. It's an incredibly difficult situation trying to pair one of these things. You have to. There's a little knob on the back of it. There's a little nipple.
Okay, I didn't know you were going to talk about your little knob. Jesus.
My little knob was not effective in Fortnite Festival, okay? Because I've got Alan Wake over here, who I play as in Fortnite, obviously, because I've got taste.
Of course.
Walking up to try and play my Bleacher songs, my Billie Eilish songs, like cultural good stuff. And I want to turn towards this other character. However, there's only one knob. There's no right knob. So Alan Wake is just walking in cardinal directions, back and forth, not being able to talk to this character. And then when I finally get into the song, it goes, swap device. You're not using a guitar controller, swap device. And I'm like, mate, I'm fucking holding a guitar. No other controllers in this postcode are on.
Yeah.
The song is coming in. I'm oh god, Billie Eilish is going to be so angry at me. And so in conclusion, Google Clone Hero, have a good time. That's all you need to know.
Sounds good to me. I got the equivalent for DDR for my dance pad back there. I want to stomp out some beats in this house. Finally, Pyoro teases something related to Nintendo World Championships. This is from My Nintendo News. Pyoro is that person that usually leaks something a couple of days before it happens, and it's always accurate. I don't think Pyro has ever gotten anything wrong to my knowledge, but it's always a couple of days beforehand. So if something's happening here, we should find out about it soon. Pyro shared an image of a Nintendo World Championship NES cartridge. People don't know, Nintendo had the World Championships back in the 80s. They had various ROMs on these cartridges, smaller versions of games, and people would race in them or whatever. Those cartridges are worth a lot of money. what do you think he's teasing here? I think it's probably going to be something like Nintendo World Championships available now in NES for Nintendo Switch Online. Go ahead and play that ROM, because why not?
I think it's exactly that. Yeah, that's especially because that stuff all has multiplayer and stuff like that. That's it's an easy, fun little non-Nintendo like win to shove that stuff up.
Jesus, Mechanized in chat just said Nintendo World Championship 99, and that sounds incredible. That would be awesome.
Oh, fucking yes.
Take
Is
that.
there currently a 99 running? Like, is there a 99 that is still currently active?
So they have F-Zero 99 and Tetris 99 are still going. I don't think Pac-Man is still going. That one might have shut down. And Super Mario 35 obviously shut down. A real goddamn shame. Take the NES Remix. And my problem with NES Remix is like it wasn't fast paced enough. It was just kind of a little bit of a slog to get into these cool little snippets. If they could like take that and either make it a 99 or make it like kind of like TikTok, where it's like you play the thing for 5 seconds and then you scroll up to the next thing and you're playing that for 5 seconds. Okay,
that's a fucking great idea.
Put that in my veins. That sounds really good to me. All right, let's get to the poll question. While I get that set up, Jordan, why don't you tell people where they can find you, what you have going on, all that good stuff?
Let me talk to you. You can find me on Twitter at Jordan Midler. Be sure to check out VGC, the video game podcast. You might think there are others, but this is the video game podcast.
Never existed before that one.
Yeah, new episode out today. We spend a lot of time talking about VGC as it turns 5 today. Very funny, very libelous. If you enjoy this kind of chat, that is where it is at. And I don't. Have you talked about things that are happening in June? Like, what is this? What stage are we at here?
We talked about things that are happening in June. Yes, that's right. On Friday, tomorrow, tickets go on sale for the live show on June 9th. Nice. For the Bellwether Theater in Los Angeles, California. It will be night 3 of Giant Bomb at Night live in Los Angeles. The previous 2 nights, we're going to be doing it from a little studio. That's going to be fun. It's going to be like it normally is. And then on night 3, I'm going to get a bunch of clowns up on stage with me, and we will have a good time for about 2 hours or so. You're welcome to come hang out with us. Again, tickets will be on sale. Please come. I think it's going to be a really good time. Should be excellent. And then you're going to be on the couch at some point. I've got to go figure that out. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing today and tomorrow. I'm like, I got to figure out where everyone's going to be.
Not only am I going to be on that couch, but I found out that Lucy James has an allocation of tickets to the live show, and you know who's getting one, brother? This guy.
Oh, really? Okay,
this
cool.
Guy right here.
I don't like. My name's just on the poster, so why would I have an allocation of tickets? All right, poll question. Let's get to it. I gotta move your stupid vertical face. There it is. Are you interested in Star Wars Hunters? 11% said yes. 35% said no. 54% said, I don't know what that is. Jordan Midler, are you interested in Star Wars Hunters?
I love Star Wars Hunters.
Oh boy.
I love the gameplay, the graphics, obviously the sound. I mean, those iconic Star Wars
Hunters?
Sounds. It's like some shitty mobile company in it.
Okay. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. I believe in you.
Is it? Oh no, I've lost it. Who is it?
It's the people that made Farmville.
Oh, it
is
Infogrames.
Zynga. I think it's Zynga. Yes,
Zynga.
Yeah, Bazinga. There you go. Yeah.
Don Matrix Zynga.
Don Matrix Zynga. That's right. They're back and better than ever with Star Wars Hunters. This is launching on mobile and on Switch on June 4th, I think. I'm curious about it, but we'll see. All right, new poll question that we are going to answer on tomorrow's show, or get the results of and discuss on tomorrow's show. Do you want to return to Starfield? Yes, the updates have me curious. No, but maybe after a few more updates. No, I'm never returning to Starfield again. And finally, I've never played Starfield. Those are your 4 options. You could vote on that. We'll get the results. We'll discuss it on Game S Mornings on Giant Bomb tomorrow for Friday's Dregs Day show. Till then, what else do we have happening on Giant Bomb? In a couple of minutes after this show, I'll be playing Fallout New Vegas again. Look out for that. We'll have Voicemail Dump Truck. We'll have UPF tomorrow. Probably still with that Fortnite Star Wars stuff. And then it's a Power Bombcast week. So tune in for that. All right, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Midler, thank you so much for hanging out with me and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course, my voice is fully going because I spent an hour screaming on the VGC podcast and then came and did it here straight after.
Oh,
so
hell yeah. We got those warmed up chords. Just slapping those raw chords together for us. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching.
You can slap me raw anytime you want.
Hell yeah. There we go. That's what we do on Game Us Mornings. Until next time, everybody, you're the best audience in gaming. Have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.